Blaze Farm tips and tricks video. I'm going to show you a couple tricks that I have found might help those who create a blaze farm. First tip is you do not need to create an automated farm to make use of macerating blaze rods. This is all the equipment you need right here. You need a macerator. Macerator is going to macerate blaze rods. Blaze rods are going to create powder. Powder can go into a tablet. Tablet can produce blaze rods, powder, and redstone. The macerator is powered by a batbox, which uses redstone. And then any extra blaze rods, EMC, or redstone can be put into a condenser to produce diamond. And that's about it. That's all you need to create a small manual blaze rod farm. Here's a small blaze rod farm I could show you some tips and tricks on. First tip I'm going to show you is you don't need to run all your tubes with redstone. You can use pneumatic tubes for the majority of the setup, and just use redstone tubes where you need the signal to reach filters. Another trick I'm using is I'm using restrictor tubes. What the restrictor tubes do is they restrict material from moving through it unless all sources that are available to it are full. So, for instance, in this chest here, I'm producing redstone. It's coming through a filter, attempting to fill this bat box. If the bat box is full, it will move through this restrictor tube up into a condenser. My redstone condenser is mainly filled with refined iron. The reason for this is refined iron is an item that doesn't have an EMC value, so the condenser doesn't attempt to condense it. This reduces the number of slots that the condenser can use down to the ones I have left available to it. So we've got 3 slots. Right now we've got a stack of blaze rod and 2 stacks of redstone. This blaze rod could eventually get replaced by powder or filled up by redstone, depending on how much it needs to come in, how much comes into the chest and how much leaves it. Comes through a filter. Filter is pulling out 16 units, which is attempting to fill in the bat box. Normally the bat box is not going to accept 16 units, but I want to make sure the bat box is always full. So it always returns at least a portion of the redstone back to the condensers. The bat box is powering this pair of rotaries via a copper cable. Doesn't need to be any higher end than copper because it's a short distance and we're using 32 EU source. My reason for using a bat box is pretty simple. Bat box can be powered by redstone. Redstone can be created by EMC. This is a machine designed to create EMC, so the machine powers itself. I don't need to worry about having solar panels, geothermal generators with access to lava. I don't have to worry about creating towers where I can put windmills. I don't have to worry about having access to water where I can create water mills. I can put this machine anywhere and it will always run, and it's a continuous loop, so it will always have power available to it. Now for the blaze rod generation, I've got this condenser here. The condenser set up the same way. I've got a bunch of refined iron here with 4 open slots for blaze rods. This allows it to produce blaze rods without jamming. If I had any fewer slots, it runs a risk of jamming the machine where it's only full of blaze rods, or only full of blaze powder, and there's no way for rods to be generated. So the blaze rods are going to come out through this filter and then come up through the top to the rotaries. They come out as a full stack of 64. My reason for full stacks of 64 is to guarantee that the rotaries are always full. The stacks are going to bounce back and forth between the rotaries attempting to fill it. Eventually they're going to give up as soon as there's a pair of them attempting to fill. And one of them will give up, or both of them will give up, and they will move through a restrictor tube. Restrictor tube is going to force them to attempt to feed these two condensers before moving through the last condenser tube, which is in an alchemy chest, which is producing red matter. Just has a gem of internal density in it, which is converting everything that comes into it into red matter. It's converting redstone, and it's converting blaze powder, and if these rods came through, it would produce these rods as well. So you can create redstone without the use of a condenser, but it needs to at least be an alchemy chest for the gem of internal density to work. So that's my last tip. You don't need 3 condensers to make the blaze rod farm work. Actually, I have one more tip. I've got a couple of feedback loops with restrictor tubes to handle, to prevent a large amount of material in the tubes at once. But I'm also running a very short timer. This timer is not 1 second, 2 seconds, 4. It's an 8.5 second timer. The reason why it's that slow is that's as fast as I need it to go in order to fill the masonry, in order to fill the rotary, but not overfill it. As we overfill the rotary slows down, and you're not producing blaze powder. But it's fast enough that it prevents the rotary from filling up. So, slow enough to allow the rotary to get close to filling, but not so slow that it allows it to fill up. This means the material that's moving through these pipes are large stacks. These blaze powder are stacks of 50 and 55. My stacks of blaze rods are stacks of 64. My redstone are stacks of 16. That means the machine doesn't have to have lots of small little stacks running through it and creating lots of lag. Allows the blaze rod machine to run with as little lag as possible on the client and the server. So let's take a look at how much EMC we're actually creating. You clear out the machine and let it start condensing. Got 3 diamonds. 13. If you notice, these are coming in pulses because of our timer is separating material into groups. 15. There's dark matter. 11 diamonds. Second dark matter. And there's the first red matter. Red matter's almost half a million EMC in and of itself. So this machine produces red matter in probably a little around a minute or less. If it's a single person using the machine, it's producing more red matter than you can possibly use. I unless you're running a very large project that uses a lot of EMC, a lot of diamonds, or a lot of dark matter. For instance, if you're trying to make a set of dark matter or red matter tools or armor, then this might take a little bit of time to build up, but it's also always going to produce red matter at that rate, so when you're not using the red matter, it's going to continue to build up. The machine might need to get bigger if you're going to run big projects, like I said, or if you're going to put this in a faction base where multiple people are going to have access to it, then you may want to add more macerators to it. So let me show you a bigger setup using the same technique, same ideas, but with more macerators in it. So here's an idea of a setup that might be in a faction base, used by multiple people, or is used for very large projects where either you're making red matter or dark matter tools and armor, or you're maybe even using red matter or dark matter blocks to build structures. It's using 8 rotaries, same timer, same stacks, slightly different tube layout, but essentially it's the same machine, using glass fiber over copper, and our filters are set slightly higher, but we're still using a bat box to power it all, and we're still producing bladerons, redstone, and then we're creating red matter. Using a condenser instead of a alchemy chest gives you a slightly better idea of how quickly we're creating the red matter. It's going through pretty quick. I think I timed it was in 14-15 seconds to create 1 red matter. So definitely more than a single person can use, unless they're doing a project that heavily uses red matter, dark matter, things like that. But it's there, it's an option. You can add more macerators. You can add more rotary macerators to this setup, but it does have a limit. The limitation is going to be how quick the condenser can condense blaze rods, blaze powder, and redstone into blaze rods to be sent to the macerators. And the limitation of the bat box. Because even though you can continually feed the bat box and it will always be full, the EU might not be available to power, say, 16 macerators. You might need to go from a bat box up to an MFE, or look for some alternate power sources. But if your setup is that large, then it's probably in a very large faction base under a shield with plenty of active people that are making use of it. And it's going to be reasonably well defended, possibly behind some redstone blocks. So you could get away with using other sources such as high voltage solar to run the machine. That's it. That's my tips and tricks. If you have any other tips or tricks and you want to go ahead and post it for people that find the video, feel free. I'll also reply to a couple of them that I think are really good.